Hey, thank you so much for joining this online interactive experience here at ISM. We know that this probably isn't the most convenient way for us to be doing ministry, but one of the things that we discussed as a church was that we wanted to be a part of the solution during this time as opposed to be a part of the problem. And so what that means is that we've just chosen to suspend all operations and activities until at least March 29th here at the church. And at that time, we'll reevaluate and figure out what next steps look like for us are. But it's with that I'm really excited for us to really just take a break from the Colossians series that we're in and step into this new series that we've just entitled Kingdom Workers here. For the students and really the families of anyone who wants to just join along with the students during this time. The reason that we called it Kingdom Workers was because we saw just such a great opportunity to be able to just love and serve our community. And sometimes we might not know what that looks like. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to talk about what it looks like to be a kingdom worker and what it looks like to really serve and love our community. Now, with that being said, I just want to explain what this really experience will look like. And so, as you saw, we had a little countdown video that is there so that when you start the video, there's still just a couple moments just to get situated before we start. We'll have an intro opener like this. Will then be followed by some sort of just encouragement, scripture video. And then we're going to play just a quick game afterwards just to help alleviate maybe some of the tension that's going on in your house, or maybe alleviate some of the tension that's going on in your hearts. We'll show another quick video, and then we'll have just about a 10-minute teaching or so through this new series that we're going to do. And then at the end of that, there will be some small group questions just for you to discuss maybe with your family. Maybe you can just text and FaceTime or call or whatever that might look like, and just talk with some of your friends about what it is you just heard, and be able to share this video with them so they can watch and be able to discuss along with you during that time. And we'll also have a little email at the bottom that you can just send all your prayer requests to during this time, because one of the things that we want to be able to do, and one of the best ways we can love and serve you, is just be able to pray for you. And so I would just encourage you to be hot, like I've told the students a couple weeks, humble, open, and transparent about what it is that's going on in your life, about what it is that the prayer request you have, and feel free just to go ahead and send those to us. I love the fact that we're able to use technology to still be able to connect and communicate, and so I'm hoping that this is providing an encouragement to you guys. I hope this provides just a time of just peace that comes into your life. I know one of the memes I saw earlier was this pastor, he shared this meme of this guy who's like profusely sweating, and he just looks like, oh man, like he's really stressed out. And right above it, it says, for all those times pastors preached against social media. And I mean, that could not be funnier for this time in our day and age. So with that, thank you again for joining our online experience, and I hope that this provides some peace and encouragement to you. And then if there is any way we can better serve you or better serve your family, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. So with that, enjoy this quick video, and we'll be right back for our game.
In the quiet silence, there is an eternal conversation between Creator and creation. But we can hardly hear. It's the violence of sound, the breakneck speed of things. Has noise become our only defense? But we are drawn by a whisper that we might hear and retune the senses as he waits for our response.
I feel like I need to admit before we start this next game that I was never actually a fan of this TV show. Actually, I really very much hated the TV show and said it was completely dumb until I saw season 4, episode 1. I won't spoil anything for you of this show, but the show I'm talking about is The Office. It's one of the most critically acclaimed TV shows, really in TV history. It's really an iconic TV show that I think will just stand the test of time. And so I thought, what a better time for us right now to just have some fun and play some Office trivia. So that's what we're going to do. So what's going to happen is you're going to see a question pop up on the screen. Go ahead and feel a moment. Maybe you want to just move around your living room, move around your room where you're at. There'll be 4 answers for each one. Make one corner A, one B, one C, and one D. Or maybe you just want to sit there and just talk about it and just maybe see who wins. So we just have just 5 quick questions for you guys just to see what it is you know about The Office. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Question number 1. Scranton is in what state? New York, Ohio, Maryland, or Pennsylvania? Take a moment to answer that question. Well, if you said D, Pennsylvania, then you would be correct. The Office is actually not filmed in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which, ironic, is 45 minutes from where I grew up, but it's actually a lot of it is filmed in Los Angeles, California, though the opening title sequence that you see is actually filmed within Scranton. So there's a little fun fact for your day. One of the things I love to tell people is that they actually had to move the Welcome to Scranton sign that you see in the intro. They actually had to move it into the Steamtown Mall, which is an actual mall, because people were getting out on the highway trying to take pictures with it, and the state saw this as very unsafe for the people on the highway because, we're just not smart as Americans. So there's another little nugget of fun for your day. Question number 2. What is Michael Scott's middle name? Is it A, Dwight? Is it B, Gary? Is it C, James? Or is it D, Scott? Take a moment to answer this question. Well, if you said B, Gary, then you would be correct. I need to be honest with you guys. When I was first reading through these questions, trying to figure out the answers, this was one of the ones that stumped me. I actually didn't know this, and I mean that's because I'm not a huge fan. So maybe you did know it, and congratulations, another point awarded to you. Question number 3. What crop does Dwight's farm primarily produce? Is it A, onions? Is it B, beans? Is it C, beets? Or is it D, potatoes? Take a moment to answer this question. Well, if you said C, beets, you would be correct. I don't know if I've ever had a beet in my life, and I don't know if I ever will have a beet in my life, especially after seeing Angela's teeth, after she had to do the beet juice cleanse that her and Dwight agree upon at one point. It looked really gross. I don't know if I'll ever try beets, but hey, if you like beets, I just got to say, to each their own, I suppose, right? Question number 4. What is the name of the screenplay that Michael is writing? Is it A, The Office Spy? Is it B, Threat Level Midnight? Is it C, Chase the Dream? Or is it D, The Final Stop? Take a moment to answer this question. Well, if you said B, Threat Level Midnight, you would be correct. Threat Level Midnight is the name of the screenplay that we first see in season 2, I believe, of The Office, and then we actually get to see Michael film and create this screenplay later on in season 7, which is an episode I highly recommend. It is extremely funny and terribly filmed and produced. Question number 5. Which of the following celebrities did not make an appearance on the show? Is it A, Jim Carrey? Is it B, Conan O'Brien? Is it C, Idris Elba? Or is it D, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? Take a moment to answer that question. Well, if you said D, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, then you would be correct. And if you got all 5 of these answers correct, congratulations. There is definitely a lot more questions we could have went through that I'm sure you could have answered. But if you got all 5 correct, then congratulations. You are an office trivia nerd, and I would suggest maybe you should go out to one of the bars or local places when everything calms down, of course. And go out and try and win some money during trivia. It seems like you've done a really good job. If you don't know, Jim Carrey actually was in The Office. He was one of the people who was applying for the regional manager position after Michael Scott left. Conan O'Brien was in the show. He was one of the members of Andy's a cappella group. Idris Elba was in the show. His name was Charles Minor. He probably had the largest cast out of the other 2. And he was pretty much an antagonist against Jim and Michael in the show, in which he ends up leaving and then makes a few appearances afterwards because Michael did not like that he was being managed by someone else. I know. Ironic because he was still being managed even without him there, having David Wallace with him. Well, thank you so much for playing. I hope that this was fun. I hope this provided some encouragement and just a time for you just to really just take a break and alleviate and have just some fun with the people around you, or really just be able to just blow some steam off with your own. So with that, we're going to jump into our Kingdom Workers trailer, and we will be back with the message right after this. Well, over the next 3 weeks, we are starting a new series that we've just entitled Kingdom Workers. What does it mean for Christians to live in light of our hope towards heaven, but while living here on earth? Man, we're supposed to be a kingdom worker. We're supposed to be loving God and loving other people. So let's just go ahead and jump right into our passage today. If you do have your Bibles with you, go ahead and turn to 2 Corinthians chapter 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 is where we are going to be this evening. Well, we live in a new culture. Okay, here's what I mean. I don't mean that our culture is brand spanking new, but what I mean by that is we live in a culture that's constantly saying we have to have the newest thing, that we have to have the brand spanking new material item that came out, that we have to have the newest version of the car, even though we have the 2018, we have to have the 2019 or the 2020 or the 2021, and it just keeps going on and on and on. That we are never content because our society says that if we don't have the newest item, then we are in the old, and that the mantra of our culture really is out with the old and in with the new. I think about this in relation to my phone. So I have an iPhone XR, and I got this a little over a year ago now. And so I remember walking in to the Apple store that day. And I knew exactly what phone I wanted. I didn't want to be talked into a Galaxy or something like that because Apple products are the best. And so if you don't have an Apple product, maybe you do need something new in your life. Sorry, just had to throw that one in there. But I walked into the T-Mobile store and I knew what phone I wanted. I wanted the iPhone XR. It was finally an iPhone without one of those little home buttons, which I was so used to because before I've always had an Android, and that was just something Androids have done forever. And so I loved that there was more room on the screen. The recording, picture, and video quality was going to be phenomenal and fantastic. And I knew this is the phone I wanted, and I was desperately in need of a new phone. So I went in and I bought the phone and I was super stoked and happy to have it. Well, just a couple months later, we're here in November and the iPhone 11 is announced. And I looked at my wife and I said, I need that phone. And she goes, Shay, why do you need that phone? You just got the iPhone XR. I said, no. I got it like 9 months ago. This phone is old. That's the new phone. I need that phone. Now, there was nothing really new and fantastic about the phone. Sure, maybe the resolution might have been a little better, but not too much better. Yes, the phone had night mode on it, but I don't take photos at night, so I don't know what help that would have done for me. So really, I don't know what more an iPhone 11 would have done. The reason I wanted the iPhone 11 was because it was brand new. And I remember when I bought the iPhone XR, I wanted people to know I had the newest phone. So I would constantly pull my phone out to, check it like, ooh, yeah, I got that text. But I'd make sure I'd angle it in such a way that people could see the phone, go, oh, is that the iPhone XR? When I'd sit down at lunch with people that I was eating, with friends I was eating with, I would put my phone on the table and I would lay it up in such a way that people would know, ooh, is that the iPhone XR? Do you have the iPhone XR? I wanted people to know I had the newest item. I wanted people to know that I was in the new. I was not stuck in the old days. But the truth is that while these things are not bad to have, while it's not bad to have a new car and a new phone and a new game and a new TV show that you're watching, the truth is there's only one thing that we should be focused on when it comes to making something new or getting something new. And that's ourselves. Here's what I mean by that. Let's turn to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, and we're just going to be reading 3 verses 14 to 17. It says this starting in verse 14. Either way, Christ's love controls us. Since we believe that Christ died for all, we also believe that we have all died to our old life. He died for everyone so that those who receive his new life will no longer live for themselves. Instead, they will live for Christ who died and was raised for them. So we have stopped evaluating others from a human point of view. At one time, we thought of Christ merely from a human point of view. How differently we know him now. And here's the verse in 17 that I want us to look at. This means that anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new person. The old life is gone. A new life has begun. See, Jesus is in the business of making us new. He's in the business of making you new. He doesn't want to just say you're a bad person to make you to a good person. You are a dead person who he wants to make alive. And if he's going to take something that's dead and make it alive, he has to make it new. See, Jesus is in the business of renewing you. That's why the Bible tells us in Romans 12 that we have to be constantly renewing our mind, because Jesus is constantly renewing us. And it's a battle. It really is a battle to be made new every single day. I think about it in regards to garage sales. I love when summer comes around because that means garage sale season is back. I remember last year there was one day where in the morning my wife and I, we just spent all morning just walking around and driving around trying to find a garage sale and just trying to find items. We didn't really need anything. We just wanted to go look at what items were being sold. And the reason that people have garage sales is because they've gotten a bunch of new things over the years. And they're trying to get rid of the old things that they don't use anymore. They're cleaning out their house of the old things so that there is room for the new things to take place. And that's what Jesus is doing for each of us. He's trying to clean out the old house of our lives, of our bodies, of our hearts, of our minds. Jesus is trying to clean that out and fill it with something new, and that is his Spirit. See, that is why Jesus is making us new, because we cannot properly serve or love other people until we are made new. That's why in 2 Corinthians 5:14, the first verse that we live at, talks about how Christ's love compels us. It starts with Jesus. So if Jesus is making us new, what does that mean for us on a daily basis? Well, I think about it in regards to a story that we come across in John chapter 13. And this is really a cool story, because this is a story that shows us that being new means that we need to have the heart of Jesus. Because when we're made new, we get a new heart. Not a physical new heart, but our affections are changed. That we change the way we think about the things around us. We change the way we love the things around us. Remember, I told you Christ's love compels us. That's because we are given a new heart when we are made into a new person. So in John chapter 13, right before this story takes place, Jesus' disciples are arguing about which one of them are the greatest disciple. I mean, really, honestly, they're sitting in front of Jesus and they're trying to figure out which disciple is the best. Yet you have Jesus, the Lord of Lords. You have Jesus, who is God, sitting in front of you, and you're trying to figure out who's the best. Clearly Jesus, but I digress. Well, right after that, the disciples and Jesus, they're sitting around a dinner table. Now, it's important to know that dinner tables in their time are not like dinner tables in our time. That dinner tables in Bible times are much lower to the ground, so people's feet are much more visible. And that's why people would often wash their feet before meals. Now, I don't know why the disciples' feet weren't washed yet, but at this moment, Jesus, as he's sitting around the table, he stands up and he takes off his robe. Now that's important to know, because that robe in Bible times is a symbol of authority, a symbol of you're a master of the students that you have underneath of you. See, that robe is a symbol that Jesus is the one leading these disciples. And he takes that robe off. He takes the authority he has and he puts it aside for a second. Jesus wraps a towel around his waist, and then he gets a bowl and he fills it with water. And he starts to wash the disciples' feet one after another. All 12 disciples are there, and he's washing all of their feet. He gets to Peter, and Peter says, Jesus, are you going to wash my feet? And Jesus goes, yeah, I'm going to wash your feet. And Peter says, no, there's no way you're going to wash my feet. Now, let's give Peter a little credit. There's a reason why he does not want Jesus to wash his feet. This was a job of feet washing that was reserved for the lowest of servants. I mean, this is the job that if you had this job, it would almost be a little shameful to have it. You didn't really want people to know you were a foot washer. This was the very last outcome someone would go to if they needed a job for work. And yet Jesus decided he was going to take his authority, put it to the side, and he would come to the lowest of servants, because he was trying to teach them what he told them so many chapters ago. That Jesus did not come to reign and conquer at that moment. He came as a humble servant. The heart of Jesus starts with a humble servant. It does not start with reigning and conquering. It does not start with you flexing your authority, thinking that you are the best. It starts with you being humble and just bowing down to the lowest of places so that you can serve other people. And so after Jesus finishes washing all the disciples' feet, he sits down and he says, do you guys know why I did this for you? He goes, I did this because I want you to emulate me. I want you to do this same thing for others. The heart of Jesus, if we're going to really understand what it means to live new and live with that heart of Jesus, it starts with us emulating Jesus. starts with us realizing we need to put aside our authority. It means that we have to kneel and bow down to some of the lowest places so that we can effectively minister people and point them to the gospel and then say, go on and do this again. Jesus often does this where he provides an example and then tells people to go on more. I think about the woman caught in adultery. He asked the people, who's condemning you? Where are they? And they're not there. And he says, well, neither do I. Go on and sin no more. See, Jesus is often in the business of teaching others not to just look at him and say, wow, how great is Jesus, but says, be like me now. It's why Paul says, follow me like I follow Christ. We're supposed to be emulating the heart of Jesus, and that's what it looks like to start out as a kingdom worker. It means that you are going to start with the heart of Jesus. We're going to close with this. In Mark chapter 12, verses 30 to 31, Jesus says that we need to love God and love others. Here's why that statement's profound. When Jesus was washing the disciples' feet, he washed all 12 of them, Judas included. At the start of John chapter 13, it tells us that Judas had already determined he was going to betray Jesus. It said that he had already been enticed by Satan. Jesus wasn't thrown off by this. Jesus was totally aware that this was happening. What does Jesus do anyway? He bows down and he even washes Judas' feet. So in the midst of everything that's going on right now, how can you be serving the people around you? How can you be just serving your family that's around you? How can you be serving your neighbors that are around you? It's important for us to realize that's important for us to know. That service starts with the heart of Jesus. That the heart of Jesus starts with us bowing down and be willing to serve other people, regardless if we like them, regardless if we hate them. That we're willing to remove any authority that we have and go to the lowest of places so that we can serve others. Are you willing to do that today? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to serve others? Are you willing to put aside any past hurts that you have so that you can serve others and point them towards the gospel? If we're going to be true kingdom workers, a kingdom worker starts with the heart of Jesus. Let's pray. Father God, I just want to thank you so much for this day, Lord, and just everything that you've given to us, Lord. I just pray that just as we are just listening to this message right now, Lord, that we would be people who are willing to emulate you, Lord, that we are willing to be made new so that we can have that new heart that serves you and serves others, that loves you and that loves others. Lord, I pray that we are constantly reading back the 2 Corinthians passage to ourselves, Lord, that we are constantly trying our best to live in light of the new person we are. And that even in our attempts to try best, Lord, we know that we will fail and that it starts with you, Lord. So please remind us of that every single day. It's in your wonderful and awesome name I pray. Amen. Hey, thank you again so much for joining our online interactive experience here at ISM this week. I just want to let you guys know, if you guys are missing that aspect of worship, there are links below in the description of worship songs, and maybe you're watching this on a different platform, and if you're doing that, there will be just a quick slide that shows up, and they'll just have just 4 worship songs. Man, feel free to go ahead and pause this video, go listen to those worship songs, and then come back and revisit this video. What you guys are going to see right now is a list of maybe like 4 or 5 questions that will just allow us to just continue on in discussion of what this looks like for us to live in light of the kingdom worker. So with that, thank you again so much for listening and being a part of this. If you have any prayer requests, that'll also be up below at the slide. Feel free to send an email to that or shoot us a message right here on our Facebook or Instagram page. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. And again, if we can be of service to you in any way, shape, or form, please do not hesitate to let us know.